Coming up on Carolina Week, President Trump continues to push back against the media, leaving news outlets concerned about public perception.
Men's basketball takes on number 7 Louisville tonight. We'll have live coverage from the Dean Dome as fans get ready to cheer on the Tar Heels.
And ladies, take note. We'll tell you about a serious injury that women face 8 times more often than men. All that and more, Carolina Week
starts right now.
From the UNC School of Media and Journalism, covering Carolina in HD. This is Carolina Week.
Educators and lawmakers at odds. Good afternoon, I'm Erin Wygant.
And I'm Donnie Holloway. North Carolina professors say with recent moves by the legislature and UNC Board of Governors, accreditation could be on the line. A UNC system faculty group says it wants the accrediting body to know there are some things happening at North Carolina colleges that could be a big problem. Reporter Sharon Nunn has more from UNC's South Building.
The UNC System Faculty Assembly, which is made up of representatives from UNC and 16 other public universities in the state, sent a note to the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools. That's the organization that grants accreditation to schools like ours. Now, this note essentially said that North Carolina lawmakers are making moves that violate accreditation standards, and we'll show you those here. The faculty listed 17 actions on this note. They include legislators' participation at UNC board meetings, legislators' interference in the presidential search process, and the legislature's guaranteed admission plan that would divert more students to community colleges. Now, faculty assembly members say they don't want UNC system schools to lose accreditation, but they're hoping this note serves as a wake-up call for legislators and board members. Now, the Sachs Commission says they got the note and they will review it this week. Back to you.
That's Carolina Week's Sharon Nunn. Thanks, Sharon.
In its first bill of the year, the General Assembly wants to reduce the size of the UNC Board of Governors from 32 members to 24. They say downsizing will increase efficiency, something UNC President Margaret Spellings agrees with. Critics say it could hurt diversity on the board. Governor Cooper will need to decide by next week whether to sign the bill, veto it, or let it become law without his signature.
It's been a tumultuous election season for UNC student body president candidates, and now things are getting even more complicated. Carolina Week reporter Danielle Wallace has been covering the election for us. She joins us now live from the studio. Danielle?
Donnie, candidate Joe Nail is now officially disqualified. On Sunday, the Board of Elections found him guilty of 1 false start violation, 1 technology violation, and 1 falsification violation. Nail appealed the decision, but the Supreme Court rejected his appeal Tuesday night. Matthew McKnight was also found guilty of 4 lesser campaign violations on Sunday, but not enough to disqualify him from the race. And McKnight might not just be in the clear just yet. A member of Nail's campaign filed another complaint against McKnight Tuesday. If the board finds McKnight guilty of that violation, he could also be disqualified. Back to you, Donnie.
Danielle Wallace live in the studio. Thanks, Danielle.
Fake news. It's a term Donald Trump has been using to describe news media outlets since his campaign for president. So how are journalists reacting to the accusation? Reporter Carol Bono found out.
On Monday, representatives of 5 North Carolina newspapers came together at UNC to celebrate a shared legacy, being recipients of the Pulitzer for Meritorious Public Service. Betty Gray of the Washington Daily News has heard criticism before.
But it's never been a situation where the President of the United States has called individual reporters liars.
This event took place against the backdrop of President Trump calling major media outlets the enemy of the American people. As bold as this statement is, surveys show that the majority of American citizens agree with him. According to a recent Emerson College poll, 53% of voters consider media outlets to be untruthful, while only 39% find them truthful.
I think it reinforces the need for journalists who tell the truth, who report carefully, who get the facts, who verify their sources. I think the best antidote for all this stuff is good, relevant, truthful reporting.
But it also puts some responsibility on the citizens and on journalists to learn to read a lot of different publications, to understand what's going on in society through various perspectives.
The past Pulitzer winners agree that finding and telling the truth should be the #1 goal of all journalists, regardless of who is criticizing their work. Reporting from Chapel Hill, I'm Carol Bono.
The Emerson poll showed that the perception of media's trustworthiness differs based on the political leanings. 91% of Republicans say the media aren't truthful. Only 31% of Democrats say the same.
Meanwhile, President Trump has re-released a survey of his own to find out if Americans trust the media. It's called the Mainstream Media Accountability Survey. Trump endorsed the 25-question survey, which he says is intended to evaluate the mainstream media. The questions asked readers whether they thought the media had reported unfairly on topics such as immigration, the Second Amendment, and terrorism. Dr. Rhonda Gibson specializes in media ethics at UNC. After taking the survey, she expressed concerns about leading questions and the intent of the survey.
If I were teaching a research methods course and somebody turned in a survey like this, I'm afraid the person would not get a very good grade on it.
The survey was emailed to subscribers of Trump's campaign updates, but anyone can take it online.
UNC officials are speaking out about violent political flyers posted around campus. The flyer depicts two comics. One shows the burning of a Make America Great Again hat. The other shows a person with a swastika being attacked with a baseball bat. The bat reads, "Bash the Fash." Someone posted the flyers across campus in places like the Old Well and the Daily Tar Heel boxes. Chancellor Folt issued a statement saying, "The flyer and its message are the antithesis of the values that are the foundation of our university. Its intentions are to incite violence, and there is no place for that here or in our society."
Durham police are investigating a threat made to the Lerner Jewish Community Day School in Durham today. Officers evacuated the building and brought in bomb-sniffing dogs. So far, there's been no word of anything suspicious found inside. In the past 6 weeks, Jewish community centers nationwide had received more than 60 bomb threats. The threats have come in 4 waves, the most recent of which came on Monday. As you can see here, the threats aren't specific to any one state or even region of the country. This most recent wave included threats to JCCs in Buffalo, St. Paul, and Albuquerque. Local Jewish leaders say the threats to community centers give them cause for concern.
Deeply, deeply disconcerting. Any singular act of anti-Semitism is revolting, unacceptable. The fact that they were happening in these numbers, this sort of frequency, and dispersed across the country and Canada, very unsettling.
President Trump has been criticized for not specifically denouncing anti-Semitism, but Tuesday Trump spoke out against anti-Semitism, saying, quote, "It's horrible and it's going to stop and has to stop," end quote.
Switching gears now, there's another story on campus that everybody's talking about: Carolina basketball.
Sports reporter Gage Tillison is live at the Dean Dome where students are already lining up. Gage?
That's right, Donnie. The 8th-ranked Tar Heels welcome in the 7th-ranked Louisville Cardinals tonight for a big-time matchup. And later on in sports, I'll break down the implications this game could have in the ACC standings.
I'm Anne. I'm a scientist.
Recycling takes a team.
Why don't you let me and me help you out?
Everyone plays a part. Don't trash
I love taking stuff apart and building new things out of it.
what could be treasure.
Pal's my most advanced android. This is awesome. You haven't seen anything yet.
Give your cardboard box another life. Recycle.
May I please have an application? Thank you.
Skip the drama. Get your diploma. Find free adult education classes at finishyourdiploma.org.
Connor is struggling in school.
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
Why don't you understand me?
I do. This is what it feels like for kids with learning and attention issues. Redirecting to understood.org.
Fancy pants peanut butter? A big screen television? You haven't even bought a sofa yet. A motorcycle? When your father finds out, he's gonna flip his shoes with 2 buckles? What do you even need 2 buckles for?
Mr. Big Shot, buying whiskey shots for everybody in the bar. From the looks of it, I'd say nobody even remembers. Feed the pig.
The statistic is startling. Female athletes are 8 times more likely to sustain an ACL injury while competing than men.
Reporter Luke Akinsola introduces us to a UNC athlete who has torn both of her ACLs in the past 10 months and the doctors who are treating her.
Olivia Ferrucci arrived to one of the top-ranked women's lacrosse players in her class. A month into the season, she was living up to the hype until she tore her ACL.
Process sucks, tearing it sucks, but at the end of the day, it's like the only way to get through it is to stay positive.
A positive mindset led to a year of successful rehab. Then the same tear happened in her other knee. Ferrucci was beside herself.
Holy crap, you're joking type of like, there's no way.
Dr. Barnett Frank is a research fellow in the Exercise and Sports Science Department. He studies ACL tears specifically and says female athletes are more prone largely due to one factor.
We generally see in females versus males is a much stiffer landing pattern when they're going through their actual activities.
This landing pattern creates more pressure at the knee joint. Frank says UNC has the proper tools to treat athletes that tear their ACLs.
We have large motion capture system, force plates in the ground that can measure how you move, build 3D models of the body.
Ferrucci believes the staff in place here is indicative of the quality athletes at UNC, past and present.
Mia Hamm went here, like Michael Jordan went here. If they tore their ACLs, who would have done their surgeries? These doctors, these people are who would have done that for these amazing athletes.
So is it likely for athletes like Ferrucci to come back strong from multiple ACL tears?
The upside is pretty high for these individuals. It's just if we're actually managing them appropriately, I think it can be done very well.
Only time will tell. In Chapel Hill, I'm Luke Akinsola, reporting.
Ferrucci won't return to action this year, but she says she hopes to come back 100% next season.
The co-founder of the Black Lives Matter movement visited UNC Tuesday night to talk about the future of the group and the movement on campus. Alicia Gazzara spoke about hot issues such as voter ID laws, police brutality, and health care. She told the crowd to treat the movement as their duty, not a hobby. Some campus groups are more active than others. The Real Silent Sam Coalition is no longer a formally active group on campus, but the Black Student Movement has been active this year. They organized a die-in, and they say they're making efforts to diversify student orientation events.
The relationship between police officers and civilians is strained at many communities, especially after officer-involved shootings and resulting protests made headlines. But as Alex Perret shows us, it's a relationship that some police departments are actively trying to improve.
A shop full of police officers. The scene at Looking Glass Cafe might initially have made some coffeegoers nervous.
2 Carrboro police pulled in and parked just as I was coming in. I said, something's going on. I hope there's not something bad going on. And then I thought, oh, it's probably coffee with a cop.
Caffeine, cuffs, and conversation went hand in hand during an event called Coffee with a Cop, hosted by the Carrboro Police Department. Officers, like Cassandra Ferraro, sat down with residents to answer questions and have an honest and open dialogue.
And we want everyone to know that we're not here just to arrest people or give tickets. We're really here to help the community.
Ferraro says the goal of hosting the event is to put a face to their badges by building both relationships and trust.
And as a law enforcement officer, we have a responsibility to listen as well as educate, because in a large aspect we are subject matter experts in what we do.
Captain Chris Atack says being attentive and approachable is more important than ever, with national attention focused on tensions between police and citizens.
I think some officers really felt maybe offended or hurt when there's a lot of negative publicity, kind of generalization on the entire profession. I think this is an opportunity for us just to be human.
Even though some residents chose to keep their distance, reaching even one person is a good start.
Anytime you have like a human-to-human connection, I think your anxiety level decreases and your ability to be reasonable and rational increases.
Atack agrees, saying a love of coffee wasn't the only shared sentiment.
For us, it's the same, right? We don't meet an equal swath of our community in the job we do. We don't go to houses that are having a great day a lot. No one calls us and says, hey, we're having a birthday party, stop by.
So far, caffeine seems to be working as a conversation starter for this police department. In Carrboro, I'm Alex Prey reporting.
The Carborough Police Department will continue to host Coffee with a Cop once a month at various cafes in Carborough.
Parking on UNC's campus after 5 o'clock is free in most lots, but that could change. Administrators are reviewing a new parking plan proposed by the Advisory Committee on Transportation and Parking. One part of the plan is a change for nighttime parking on campus. The committee says it's to offset the cost that UNC employees have to pay for daytime parking permits. Many students say they don't like the idea.
Professors who we pay to teach then have to come to campus and pay to teach. I think that's a poor use of their funds and our funds.
Nighttime is like what people look forward to because they're like, that's when I'm going to be able to like park. Like I know people that plan their schedule around like coming to campus then. So we're going to be like completely isolated.
I feel like it's just another role to like milk money from students.
There's no word yet on when a decision will be made about the parking plan or how much evening parking would cost.
It's almost feeling like spring break already. Temperatures in the 70s this week.
Is it time to break out your sandals and shorts? Meteorologist Kyle Hansen has the 5-day forecast coming up next.
You've messed up your son's haircut.
Mom?
Do you A, try to fix it?
Like it never happened.
B, work with what you got? Or C, show solidarity?
Thank you, baby.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Look at you. You're at the top of your game. You're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Yeah, I saw that coming. That will throw you off track. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
Good evening, I'm meteorologist Kyle Hansen. Another warm day for us. High temperatures close to 70 and right now at 68 degrees. Light winds out of the southeast at 5 miles an hour. And we're seeing quite a bit of clouds through the area this afternoon. Notice this big storm over Florida. That's been giving us some clouds up here and even some scattered showers as well. If you look at the radar, kind of tough to see from this far out, but we have some showers in northern North Carolina and a few sprinkles just south of that. So don't be surprised if you see some sprinkles later on tonight. If you're looking further into this evening, notice we should be drying out, especially later into the wee morning hours. We still have that storm off the Florida coast that's going to give us a lot of cloudiness into early tomorrow morning, but I think we'll start to clear out later in the day tomorrow. For the basketball game tonight, around 8 o'clock, expect temperatures in the low 60s, 61 degrees, and by 10, temperatures in the upper 50s. I know the game starts at 9. You probably won't need much of a heavy jacket at all, still going to be warm. And later this evening, temperatures getting to around 54 degrees by early morning. Winds will also be light. Expect a chance of a shower, but I think it's pretty unlikely, only about a 20% chance. And then tomorrow, more of the same deal. We will have some clouds off to our south, but we should be around partly cloudy skies here in the triangle. Upper 70s for a high tomorrow, feeling more like late April, early May. Winds will be out of the south at 5 to 10 miles per hour, so rather breezy. And taking you through the rest of the day, hour by hour, 50s to start off your day at 8 o'clock, 70s by the time we get to 12, and then 76 by the time we get to 3 o'clock. Now, a lot of people have been asking me, why has it been so warm? Well, if you go back to early winter, you know how we had that snow in January? It was quite cool in the East Coast, and that's basically because of the jet stream. The jet stream is this blue thing right here. It's a narrow band of upper level winds, and basically what that does, it divides the warm air to the south and the cold air to the north. Now, we had a pattern like this. The jet stream was weak, so it tends to move around a lot. We'll get into the warm air, we'll get into the cold air. But what happened late winter is that the cold air strengthened in the west coast from all those rainstorms in California, and that sent warm air our way. And since the jet stream is so strong, it doesn't want to move. So I expect this pattern to continue throughout the next 2 weeks. If you look at the National Weather Service forecast out 8 to 14 days, and this is pretty similar to what I see in the next week, is that we have warm temperatures continuing throughout the southeast, very cold in the western part of the country with a lot of rain, but mostly dry here. Temperatures 60s, 70s, 80s, way above where we should be this time of year. And I think it's going to be a perfect beach weekend. If you're heading to Wrightsville Beach, 75 on Friday, lows getting down to the 50s, and then Saturday near 80 degrees at the beach. And I expect that to be pretty similar here in Chapel Hill, around 80 degrees Saturday. We're going to drop back to the 50s on Sunday, but then it's going to be a lot nicer again next week. The temperatures in the upper 60s and 70s.
Well, as I said earlier, it's starting to feel like spring break already. To just leave the jackets in the room. When are we going to see this usual February weather?
I really don't think we're going to see normal temperatures until mid-March. It's going to be warm for a while.
Wow.
All right, well, that does it for weather. When Carolina Week returns, sports anchor Gage Tillotson is live from the Dean Dome.
He'll preview the big game that has had Tar Heel fans waiting in line for hours.
I'm a single mother, and I was the main one working, so I never thought that I could go back to school, you know. My sister, my mother, everybody wanted to help me with my kids. I could not have gotten my diploma without my family.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Hello and welcome back to Carolina Week Sports live from the Dean Dome. I'm Gage Tillotson, here to break down tonight's top 10 matchup between Carolina and Louisville. It's a game with major ACC stakes as things are tight at the top of the standings. Now, UNC sits atop of the conference at 11-3, with Louisville and Duke just one game behind. A Louisville victory would give the Cardinals a share of first place with a tiebreaker against the Heels. Now, it's also worth noting that Duke travels to Syracuse for a tough matchup tonight. So Carolina could potentially find itself in either a three-way tie for first or have a two-game lead by the end of the night. So what is it that makes the Cardinals the 7th-ranked team in the nation? One word: defense. The Cardinals thrive on pressure, giving teams little chance to breathe coming down the court after a Louisville make. This is gruesome for opposing offenses, tiring out backcourts, and creating havoc. And havoc is something the Cardinals live for. Louisville has the best turnover margin in the ACC and the 16th best in the nation. The Cardinals are great at creating that chaos on the defensive end and just as good at taking care of the ball. And Ken Palm has this defense as the 5th most efficient in the country, giving up a mere 90.4 points per 100 possessions. So North Carolina normally enjoys a healthy advantage in rebounding against opponents, but the Cards are one of the few teams that can match the Tar Heels on the boards. Rick Pitino's team is 2nd in the ACC in offensive rebounding with 13.7 per game. For comparison's sake, UNC is first in the conference and the country with almost 16 offensive boards per game. Now this is a long Louisville front court, so positioning under the basket will be key for Carolina. But what about offense? The Cards still have to put up points, and Quentin Snyder will be the guy they depend on most. Snyder is your prototypical Louisville guard. He's undersized and scrappy, great at attacking the basket, he can shoot from deep, averaging about 15 points per game. And he's the team's best distributor with about 4 assists per game. So Carolina's guards will have a hard time staying in front of him tonight. So there's a lot to love about Louisville, but Carolina is undefeated at home. The Heels have turned the defense up, and I think we're getting an instant classic tonight that sends Tar Heel fans home happy. Now, fun fact, the last top 10 matchup that took place in the Dean Dome was back in December of 2015, when number 9 UNC defeated number 2 Maryland 89-81. Donnie, Aaron, back to you guys.
Well, a lot of fans will be excited for the game after that.
That's Gage Tillotson live at the Dean Dome. Thanks, Gage. When Carolina Week returns, Oscar nominees are busy writing their acceptance speeches.
But does activism have any place at award shows? We'll take you to the red carpet up next.
I was 0.5 credit from completing high school, and I didn't do it. My support team never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew who I could become as a person. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
See you mobbing over her. Let's go. Let's mob. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Hey yo, we mobbing. Come on, girl. Let's crawl. Hey yo, let's crawl. Hey, crawl. Hey, let's crawl. Hey yo, let's crawl.
The Oscars are coming up this weekend.
But as our Brant Berry shows us, the awards show and many like it are becoming more and more political.
It's glitz, it's glamour. Award shows like the Golden Globes, Tonys, and the Oscars have always been elegant. But they're becoming known for something much different: activism. Redgrave was one of the first award winners to share her opinions on the national stage in 1978.
And I pledge to you that I will continue to fight against anti-Semitism and fascism. Thank you.
This has become even more common in recent award shows. Lin-Manuel Miranda at the 2016 Tonys.
And love is love is love. Love is love is love is love is love. Cannot be killed or swept aside.
Meryl Streep at the 2017 Golden Globes.
It was that moment when the person asking to sit in the most respected seat in our country imitated a disabled reporter, someone he outranked in privilege, power, and the capacity to fight back.
The president fought back. President Trump responded to Streep on Twitter, saying, "Meryl Streep, one of the most overrated actresses in Hollywood, doesn't know me, but attacked last night at the Golden Globes. She's a Hillary flunky who lost big. For the 100th time, I never mocked a disabled reporter, would never do that, but simply showed him groveling when he totally changed a 16-year-old story that he had written in order to make me look bad. Just dishonest media." With many thought-provoking films up for awards, all eyes will be on Hollywood to see if the trend continues. I'm Brant Berry, reporting.
The 89th annual Oscars airs this Sunday night at 8:30. So, Erin, are you planning to watch the Oscars this year?
I am. I saw a couple of the movies, so I'm curious to see if they win or not. I know La La Land is a front runner, and I saw that one. I loved it a lot. But I didn't see Lion or Moonlight, and I know those are up at the close.
Yeah, definitely a lot of talk about the Oscars this year. That does it for this edition of Carolina Week.
Thanks for watching, and have a good night.